Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Workforce Workshop. In today's episode, we will discuss the types of workforce diversity. Without further ado, let's start with a conversation about the types of workforce diversity and why they matter to companies. The face of today's workforce has undergone a major facelift from decades ago. From technological advancements to the popularity of work-from-home arrangements that have been propelled by the COVID-19 pandemic, today's workforce has undoubtedly seen significant developments. At the core of this change is workforce diversity, a practice of inclusion among employees regardless of differences. But while it is tempting for HR professionals and business decision makers to harp on this trend in the name of staying relevant, there is more to diversity than being a buzzword. Let's take a look at different types of workforce diversity and why it matters. But first, we should know what is a workforce diversity. Workforce diversity refers to the practice of accepting and including all employees regardless of their societal background. It ensures that all members of an organization are given equal benefits and opportunities, and they are assessed based on their skills and how they perform their job responsibilities, without considering gender, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, age, and other factors. The growing awareness towards workforce diversity has led many companies to value inclusion and open their manpower to people from different walks of life. Diversity has also become one of the benchmarks when identifying what it means to be the best company. For example, professional networking site LinkedIn factored in gender diversity into its annual ranking to the world's top companies. This is part of a few methodologies that LinkedIn adopted to keep up with the changing workforce landscape. On the regulatory level, several countries have adopted laws that ensure equal opportunities among employees. In Australia, for example, companies are required to craft measures that would prevent workplace discrimination and make sure that the working environment is free from any form of bullying and sexual harassment. But why has workforce diversity become such a big deal? And what is the importance of workforce diversity? Given the PR glitz hovering above the term diversity, it is easy and tempting to dismiss this practice. But with the numerous case studies and empirical researches backing it up, diversity is more than just a buzzword. Rather than it is a practice that companies can use to their advantage. More importantly, diversity is here to stay. So why should companies pay attention to this? First of all, different perspectives and better decision making, having team members with different cultural backgrounds can widen an organization's business perspectives. This will allow a company to explore areas that would otherwise be left out had they limited their workforce to certain race, ethnicity, age, or gender. Second, more innovation. Fresh perspectives drive what many companies are after in technology-led workforce innovation. Team members who are up to date with their customer ever-changing wants and needs are likely to develop products and services that are more relevant and saleable. This ability to adapt is the result of having people with different backgrounds, ideas, and insights. Many startups best exemplify this. These young companies are more open to hiring individuals regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, because they value innovation and the fresh ideas they can bring to the table, more than conventions. Third, higher profits, workforce diversity also bring tangible benefits. As a result of higher innovation and better decision making, companies reap more revenue. A study by McKinsey & Company between 2008 and 2010 found that companies in the United States, the UK, France, and Germany with more diverse executive team reported higher returns on equity than those that practiced diversity at a far less extent, with a particular focus on having more women and foreigners on the senior team of the companies surveyed. Meanwhile, a study by Boston Consulting Group in 2017 found that having a diverse team helps improve a company's performance, especially among those that they rely on innovation and creativity. Specifically, it concluded that companies with average diversity on their executive team saw their innovation revenue up to 10 percentage points compared with companies that had below average diversity within their senior leadership. Fourth, improved employee morale. Creating a space that is inclusive for everyone sends a message that a company cares about their employees. A survey by Deloitte involving 1,550 employees in Australia found that inclusivity and diversity led to increased employee engagement. The research also pointed out that a sense of inclusion is no longer just the motherhood concept, but a company asset that can be measured in terms of respect, fairness, and belongingness. Diversity also translates to lower employee turnover. A workplace that promotes diversity creates a happier environment where employees feel valued regardless of their background. Studies show that employees consider the workplace environment when deciding on whether to stay in a company longer or not. The fifth point is better company reputation. Admit it or not, having an inclusive space is a good PR. Inclusivity and diversity are now used as criteria when assessing a company's reputation. Organizations that employ a diverse workforce and have programs that support diversity are seen as socially responsible and more human. In turn, companies can use this to attract more talent and build their reputation both externally and internally. Next, we're going to discuss are the types of workforce diversity. Workforce diversity comes in different shapes and forms, and knowing what they are helps moving the ambiguities. Let's take a look at the two main types of workforce diversity. External diversity refers to a set of characteristics that a person possesses as influenced by his external environment. This includes socioeconomic status, geographic location, religion, and education. Since these characteristics are a result of external influences, the person had the option to change them over time. On the other hand, internal diversity refers to the attributes that the person is born into. That includes race, ethnicity, age, sexual orientation, and gender identity. Now, let us take a deeper dive and look into more specific types of workforce diversity. The first one on the list is age. Age is often identified as a generation. There are the baby boomers from 1946 to 1964. Generation X is 1965 to 1979. Generation Y are the millennials, 1980 to 1994, and Generation Z, 1995 and younger. Unfortunately, many companies consider age as factor when hiring employees, leaving the senior workforce out of the picture. Some companies also do this unconsciously. For example, they set up career fairs at campuses and university, meaning they are in the hunt for fresh graduates in the younger age bracket. But age discrimination is not inclusive to seniors or older people. The young ones often get excluded from being considered for a role or a promotion due to their age. Interestingly enough, the United States Bureau of Statistics forecasts that people aged 55 years and older will make up about 25% of the American labor force by 2024. Second, gender identity. As of 2019, female accounted for 57.4% of the United States workforce, making equal representation ever more important. However, the discussion on gender equality is not just about hiring men and women in the same number. To have a tangible impact, companies must also address the elephant in the room, gender pay gap. The World Economic Forum reported stalled progress towards closing gender pay gaps, primarily because the issue is part of a wider societal problem involving bias and inequality. In many cases, pay gaps intersect with other diversity issues. For example, Black women working in the United States are paid 20% less than their white counterparts and 37% less than white men, according to leanin.org. Third, racial and ethnicity. Racial is defined as groups of people who have shared similarities and differences in biological attributes that are considered significant in the society. One example of this is skin color. Ethnicity, on the other hand, refers to shared perspectives, distinctions, and cultural practices that differentiate one group of people from another. This includes ancestry, language, and history, among others. Unlike race, differences in ethnicity are not inherited. They are learned and acquired over time. Different ethnic groups are part of one race, resulting in the overlapping between the two. Bias and inequality are possible even within the same race. For example, two Asian employees, one Korean, the other one Japanese, may be from the same race, but they have widely different cultural backgrounds. Many ethnic groups are also subject to hiring bias due to limited representation in the talent pool. Companies that promote race and ethnic diversity enable employees to be heard and seen, providing a space for fruitful dialogues that can help organizations have fresh perspectives. Fourth, sexual orientation. Another type of workforce diversity involves the employee's sexual orientation. According to WebMD, sexual orientation pertains to a person pattern and of emotional, romantic, and sexual attraction to people of particular gender, male or female. The evolving perspective towards sexuality has given birth to dozen types of sexual orientations, and this number will continue to increase over time. These include asexual, homosexual, pansexual, gay, bisexual, heterosexual, intersex, and lesbian, among others. Like other types of workforce, diversity sexual orientation brings difficult yet important conversations that are key to creating harmonious and inclusive working environment. Civil rights groups have been at the forefront to the fight against discrimination over sexual orientation. In 2020, the US Supreme Court made a landmark ruling against companies that fire employees for being a member of the LGBT community. Lastly, how companies can promote workforce diversity. Embracing diversity in the workforce is more than just a branding issue. Therefore, companies must practice it by putting in place actual programs and solutions with tangible impact on the employees. One way to do this is by creating a diversity council that will meet up regularly to craft strategies to make the organization more diverse and inclusive. Another solution is putting together mentorship and training programs to ensure that employees have equal access to opportunities within the company. Many organizations also have intra-groups that cater to different backgrounds, such as LGBTQ, Black workers, Asians, and so forth. This does not mean that only employees who fall under such qualifications can join. Rather than intra-groups should be open to anyone with the ultimate goals of promoting diversity. Having these employee-led safe spaces help amplify the struggles of minority communities that these diversity classifications belong to. Companies should likewise build awareness about their efforts to become a more diverse and inclusive community to steer employee support and engagement. This can be done by becoming more visible and highlighting related programs on the company's website. Events can also be organized to promote diversity, such as by inviting employees to share their traditions and cultural practices. Lastly, companies should be more proactive in addressing the gender pay gap. They can start by gathering and analyzing data related to salaries and bonuses for departments' gender, race, and ethnic groups. Companies should then share their findings to the employees for transparency before making specific and realistic commitments that will help address any pay inequality. On a granular level, companies can provide training tools to help managers conduct equal performance reviews to prevent unconscious bias, especially those related to behavioral traits and favoritism. Now, I'd like to conclude this episode by saying diversity in the workforce is often a difficult topic to talk about, but an important one nevertheless. Studies show that a diverse workforce helps contribute the company's performance in terms of higher revenue and profits because they increase innovation, encourage more creativity, and open up to fresh perspectives. Workforce diversity also boosts employees' morale, which in turn improves the turnover rate. Companies likewise can use diversity and inclusivity for establishing its brand reputation, since an inclusive workspace is seen as socially responsible. Diversity comes in many forms: age, gender, race, ethnicity, culture, and sexual orientation, among others. Companies must make a conscious effort to address inequalities by setting up mentorship and training programs for employees. An internal council specifically designed to create diversity strategies will also help promote fairness in the workplace, while employees-led internal organizations will provide a space for more interaction and cultural awareness. Lastly, the most urgent issue that companies need to address when it comes to diversity is pay inequality. This can be done through studies analyzing pay per gender, race, and ethnicity, and results from which should be disclosed for transparency. Ultimately, companies must make a commitment to address pay inequality by setting up specific targets and a timeline. That's all for today's episode. In the next one, we shall discuss about contingent workforce management. Links to everything will be in the description below. If you like our content, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification note. It will notify you about the new content that we share with you every week. This will help us produce great content for our professional audience. Let us know if there is something you would like us to discuss in future episodes. Please click the link in the show notes and you can address your questions directly to me. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.